Well, we would like to encourage the use of the MatchProperties tool in gCADPlus. You can find it on Modify and down here to Match Properties. You can also start it with the MP shortcut. Just type MP and you'll be given the prompt. So the prompt says select an entity to pick up some properties. Now if we take the example of the plant tree symbols here in this design, you might argue that this particular one here, you do need to see the underlying geometry, but you don't need to see underlying geometry in these two. So match properties, we can pick up the colour here and just match it to that one and to that one, and there's our little symbol. Of course, what it has done, the symbol had in the centre of it there a circle, maybe illustrating an existing tree, so we can use draw order and send that to the back, and there they are. So these have been given just with that match properties the colour, and if you wanted to have some transparency and you wanted to see underlying geometry, you might have another one just sitting up here or another one, and just hit enter and match properties, and we pick that one up. So you can see we changed the colour, but we've been able to see through it, and that's done of course by simply setting the transparency of this little symbol up here. I'm not suggesting at all that you would keep a series of spare symbols up the top or on the side of your drawing and use those, but it's just by way of illustration. Match properties enables you to match all sorts of things. Just say, for the sake of argument, you wanted all your notes on their own layer, drawn with a fine line, and in a new text style, you could just match the properties of this existing style to, in this case here. So I say, take this one, this should square it off now, gives it a different text font, puts it on another layer. It's now on a layer L notes. So if we find another one here, down there's some more, another example that happens to be on a layer called design. If we wanted to move it and match its text style here, we could do that. So all the text is now being changed quickly and easily, and you don't need to pick individually. If there was a whole pile of text somewhere, you could pick this one up and then draw a box around everything that's inside, and the properties will get matched. But I've tried to give you quite a few other examples. Here's another example of a piece of text in the drawing that's on a layer MAL2 dimension layer. Let's imagine we want to change its layer. It's also, let me pick it up, see it's set to a line weight of 0.4 of a millimetre, which is quite thick. Maybe we want to move that onto a layer and just give it the default line thickness. So again, match properties, pick this one up here, and there we are, squared things off. So you can do all sorts of things like match the fill. Here's a polyline with a fill with a particular colour, one of the detailed colours available in gCADPlus. Let's match the properties of this one to a closed polyline that's in the drawing, and again we'll send that to the back. So you can see very easily you can match properties in that way. It can be very handy. Not only text and line types can be matched, just say you had a fairly thick line type through here, 0.3, you wanted to use a thinner line, so match properties, match it like so, whoops, and there we have a thinner line. That becomes important, of course, when you go to a layout space where you may be able to see across. Here's the line that we didn't match, and there's the line that we did match. Let me go back to the model. We can also match hatch properties. Notice here we've got a fairly type scale of 100. We pick the same hatch style, and it's 200. So again, it's match properties, match the scale of one type to another. So as I said before, you wouldn't be working on these up here, but when you get something right in your drawing, just use that, the one that's correct, and match its properties to. You might find very useful match properties, very useful when it comes to dimensioning. And if I select this dimension here, which to me looks just a little bit heavy, and will show as heavy in the layout space. Let's just switch to it. You see how that's very heavy dimensioning. Let's come back here, and it's in a style called standard, but we want that. We might want it in a different style, and I've made a different style here. I've called it Hager Design, and I've used the European comma in the dimensioning, and the style is set for 1 decimal place. So we can simply match the properties of that dimension style to others here, and you can see how easy it is. I did not put a box around everything because that would change underlying colours, and there's a piece of text that we're not interested in. So certainly in a cramped area of the design, that's quite helpful. I notice here that this dimension looks awkward. The text is sitting on the right hand side of it. That's to do with the way the dimension was picked. This is just a little aside, but if we go from, say, an end point of the bench to the other end point of the bench, and I come across here, can you see that the dimension now works in the correct direction? So I can erase that one. And I hope you'd agree, if we go into layout, the dimension there works much nicer way. If we look at this particular shape, notice it doesn't have a border, but if we create a shape somewhere with a border, again, match properties will match the properties of that one down through there. So I hope that's a little demonstration of, and it's by no means covered all the areas. Maybe the last one I can demonstrate. This looks like some fairly heavy gravel paving under vehicles. Well, let's just match the properties of this paving to that paving. And I think that stands out much better.